By popular demand, Long Long Honeymoon is now on Patreon.
If you want to be a LOLOHO VIP, check it out.
Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long Long Honeymoon, and today we're talking about one of our favorite places on planet Earth, Grand Teton National Park. Today we're going to give you at least 20 tips for visiting Grand Teton National Park and the surrounding area. Since we have a lot to say, let's jump right into it and get started. Why do you go to Grand Teton National Park? Well, the first thing that comes to mind...
It's a pretty spectacular view.
Yeah, it is. In all of our travels, I think the Grand Tetons are still among the prettiest mountains you'll ever see anywhere. If you've ever watched a TV commercial in your life, you've probably seen these mountains. The Tetons are some of the most iconic Rocky Mountains.
It's just because there's sort of like a plain out in front of them, and then there's just these huge rocks that just stick up. So it's like you sort of have a really flat view in front of them, and then there they are. And so they're just really perfectly like on display.
Yeah, the expression jaw-dropping comes to mind because the first time you see them with your own eyes, your jaw will probably drop. If you're into photography, there's one place you absolutely have to know about, and it's called Schwabacher's Landing. It's about a mile off the main road. What makes Schwabacher's Landing so special is the presence of beavers. Yes, we can thank the beavers for this because there are beaver ponds in this area that have very still water. And what happens with still water? It becomes a mirror. It reflects what's above it. So you can capture some of the most spectacular mountain photographs you're ever going to get in your life at Schwabacher's Landing because you're getting the Tetons times 2.
Yeah, so make sure if you're going to go, try to go on a day where it's not very windy because obviously the wind will disrupt that reflection. But even if you aren't a big photographer, it's just a great place to go and walk out to. It's not a long trail, and there are a couple of benches out there that you can sit on, and it's just a great place to sit and sort of soak it in.
One thing to be aware of if you're ever down there by yourself, that's definitely grizzly country. There are bears in that area. So it's really not the brightest idea to go hiking down there by yourself without bear spray. Another great photo spot that you have seen 1,000 times is in a place called Mormon Row. There's a collection of buildings that are remnants from the Mormon homesteaders that were there a long time ago, right? And there are a couple of barns that are just iconic structures that you've seen 1,000 times. And so you really need to go photograph the Moulton Barn on Mormon Row. And what makes the barn so spectacular, it's obviously handmade. This is not a cookie cutter structure, and it really seems to be inspired in some ways by the Tetons.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful barn and just a great location to take a picture. If you're just in a regular car, I would recommend accessing the Moulton Barn on Mormon Row from the north because it's just a much easier road to navigate. It's paved most of the way. There's actually some parking on that side. If you come from the south side, just know that when you turn down Mormon Row, it is a very muddy road. I think the dirtiest Seymour has ever been was after a day trip down Mormon Row.
Another reason that we absolutely love this area is the wildlife. In fact, I would say in the lower 48, we haven't found a place that has a greater variety of really spectacular wildlife viewing. For some reason, the Tetons is a place where moose can be moose.
It is moose country, and I've never seen moose pretty much anywhere like I've seen them in the Grand Teton National Park and the surrounding areas. So if you want to see a moose, it's the place to go. They're huge. They're scary animals because they are so large, and they're dangerous animals. So please keep that in mind, even though they look cute and you want to squeeze it like Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
It's not Bullwinkle, so keep your distance.
A big male moose can kill a person just like that.
Yeah,
All they got to do is kick you once in the head and it's lights out.
Their antlers are huge, and you really can't appreciate them until you see them up close. They frequent campgrounds in that area, so you need to be aware when you're exiting your camper, wherever you are in the Grand Tetons. Of all the places we've been, we have never seen moose like we've seen in this area, with the exception maybe of Alaska. And even in Alaska, we haven't seen them in the numbers that we have in Grand Teton.
Grand Teton National Park, the moose are free to kind of roam around without fear of being shot. I mean, basically. So, like, they'll come down into the campground. You know, we've gone back to our Airstream at night, and there will be a large moose bedded down for the night, like one campsite over.
Yeah.
So you really have to watch when you're going, if you're walking to the bathroom at night, like the local bathhouse.
Most definitely.
You got to watch out and make sure there's not a moose just in between you and the bathroom. Okay?
Right, because they are very comfortable there, and they like the Gros Ventre River, and so that brings them into town. The main highway that runs into Jackson from the north is definitely a place to be wary of moose, because they do cross that highway, and if you hit a moose, not only would you kill the moose, but you would probably die as well, because they are such large animals. It would be like hitting broadsiding a small car.
We regularly see bears in Grand Teton National Park.
Yeah.
Typically, we see more black bears than grizzly. That's just been our experience, and maybe that's just the places where we're going. But there's a lot of black bear activity on some of the hiking trails where we like to hike.
We've encountered a black bear on a hike. Beautiful to see, but it was also one of the scarier moments probably of my life, because we basically came around a curve in our trail, and we were right at the end of the trail. So we were finishing the hike. And we were almost to the ranger little hut and restroom. And we came around the corner, and there was this huge black bear that had just crawled out of a bush. And I immediately panic. I've got the bear spray in my hand. I'm ready to pull the trigger because I'm thinking he's coming for us. And John's like, whatever you do, don't run, don't move. Just stand still, you know. He sort of just like lumbers away, you know, away from us. And it was just, it took my breath away for sure.
One place where we typically go to look for bears it's a road called Moose Wilson Road. Moose is the name of a little junction in Grand Teton National Park. Wilson is another town. And so Moose Wilson Road is a road that connects those two areas. I mean, it's a short road. It is unpaved, and in places, it's the most ridiculously rough road you will ever be on in your life.
Yeah, so if you are in a rental RV, do not drive it down this road. If you are in, you know, a Class B, I don't know if I would drive it down this road. And if you're in a very small car, I don't know if I would drive it down this road. Now, you could drive portions of it that are paved, but once you get to the unpaved portion, I would turn around and go back.
Yeah, because it depends on the time of year, of course. There are a lot of berry bushes around there, and when the bears are kind of fattening up for hibernation, you'll see them around the road, and sometimes they'll be right next to the road.
This is what a bear jam looks like
And sometimes there's so much bear activity on that road that the Park Service will actually close the road for a day or two and just sort of let the crowd subside, and I think let the bears, have their berry fest without worrying about tourists taking their pictures.
And there's just a lot of other wildlife around there as well. Of course, there's pronghorn, for example, which some people might call antelope. I think they're really just supposed to be called pronghorn, but there's a lot of those around there. And I wanted to tell you about an unusual encounter I had recently. We were in Grand Teton National Park and we saw a coyote. And a coyote was like dancing around out in this field, probably chasing mice or something. And so we stopped and I went out to photograph the coyote. So I'm out there with my sort of bazooka zoom lens, staring through it, photographing this coyote. And I hear something rustling in the grass next to me. I look to my left and, good Lord. There's a large badger walking right towards me.
Yeah, I was further away and I was actually looking at Sean through some binoculars and I see him all of a sudden do this huge jump backwards. And I was thinking, oh gosh, is there a snake or, something like that? And then he comes back to tell me, oh no, it was a badger.
And I think the badger may have soiled his pants too.
Yeah, he wasn't expecting to see Sean.
He looked up. It's like he didn't see me, I didn't see him. And then he checked me out and then he veered to the left and walked out into the field where he sort of hung around with the coyote for a while.
Yeah, they sort of followed each other around. I've never seen a badger in the wild like that before. They're pretty big. It was a unique encounter and something I would have not even thought to look for, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's an example of how that area will surprise you. I've been going to that area for many years, never seen a single badger.
And we probably won't see one again for another 10 years.
You're right.
Bison, there's usually a lot of bison in the Grand Teton area, especially near the Grovant section of the park.
Yeah, in fact, if you're going out to Mormon Row, you will probably see bison back there because there's a big herd of bison.
If you are able to do any sort of hiking, this is the place to do it. They've got all sorts of levels as far as how strenuous a hike is. And some of the easier hikes that have no elevation gain or what have you have some of the prettiest views. So there really is something for everyone when you're hiking in Grand Teton. A few of our favorite hikes, I would say, one is Phelps Lake, and that is an overlook that you can hike to. You can also hike around the lake, but we usually don't do that because the hike to Phelps Lake and back is right about 4 miles. And that is a good place to see deer on that trail. And we've also seen bears on that trail. That's where we had the bear encounter. So that's a place where you definitely need to bring your bear spray. The Taggart Lake hike, we usually do the loop because it's got some great views of the Teton mountain range.
The town of Jackson is sort of like the home base that you will use when you're visiting Grand Teton National Park.
Yeah.
And it is obviously a very popular tourist destination, not only in the summer. I mean, this video is about going in the summer because we like to RV camp there, but in the winter, there's obviously a lot of great skiing around there. Mm-hmm. So they have a really highly developed tourism industry, providing you with all sorts of things to do. If you want to take a rafting trip, you can, like for whitewater rafting. If you want to take a float trip, it's kind of laid back, you can. Mm-hmm. If you've got your own inflatable boat, you just want to get out and take your boat out in Grand Teton National Park, you can do that. Yeah. I believe there's hot air ballooning, there's kayaking, there's all sorts of stuff you can do there.
So if you don't bring your own, at Jenny Lake, you can actually rent kayaks or canoes. And it's a great place to go. It's a pretty calm lake and you've got an amazing view of the mountains. We've done String Lake, over to Lee Lake. That's another great place to paddle if you're going to put in a boat. You do need to get a permit for your boat, so you can just get that at the ranger station. They basically inspect your boat to make sure it's free of barnacles or like sort of organisms from other lakes. So it's a quick little 10-minute process.
Another great thing to do when you're in Grand Teton National Park is to visit the town of Jackson, because Jackson is a real town.
Yeah, it's not just a tourist spot.
Right.
People live there year round, and they've got lots of great activities going on in town. Pretty much every weekend they've got something.
Like there are food festivals, wine festivals, stuff like that. And like,
art shows, live music. At the town square they have, the shootouts that they do during the summer, reenactments and that sort of thing.
yeah, in the center of Jackson, you'll find a little park. And really every town needs a little town square park like this because it's a hub for activity. And there's always something going on around there. And I think that's one of the things that makes Jackson special. It's not just a tourist town. Jackson is a fully three-dimensional, well-developed community with real people living real lives there, and you get a taste of that when you visit.
There's actually a rodeo in town if you wanted to go to the rodeo, just all sorts of things. So if you just look up on their website, they usually have a good list of things to come, and a lot of the events are free or fairly cheap, so we definitely recommend stopping into Jackson and taking advantage of that cute little town.
Also, the restaurants and the dining. There's just a lot of choice there. There's a place outside of town called The Bird. Now, this is not going to appeal to everyone. This is purely a wings, burgers, and beer type of place.
Yeah, and it's very much a locals place, so don't expect it to be very touristy, I guess.
It's not touristy, and it's
at
not
all.
really fine dining. It's just a fun place with excellent food.
Yeah, they have the best hot wings I honestly can say I've ever eaten anywhere. They're my favorite. They have great beer selection. They have amazing schnitzel, if you like schnitzel.
Yeah. Our kind of place is more of a casual, laid back, have a beer, watch a ball game type of place. But there's a lot of other choices in Jackson.
Yeah, so there's Snake River Brewery if you like fresh brewed beer. It's a great place to go. Cafe Genevieve is a good place to go for kind of a casual lunch, and then it's a little nicer at dinner time. Persephone Bakery is a great place to go for like sandwiches and that sort of thing, and they make their own bread, which is awesome. We usually buy some bread to bring home. Another place that we really love that's off the beaten path is called Street Food at the Stagecoach. And the Stagecoach is sort of a dive bar in Wilson, and they have live music, and if you want to go and see like real Jackson life where people are there like country dancing, like two-stepping or what have you.
See some real cowboys and cowboy hats.
Real cowboys, then the Stagecoach is where you go. And they have a food place in the back that is not related to the bar side, and they have amazing food.
Another place for great live music is the Wart.
Silver Dollar Bar at the Wart Hotel has great music. On Tuesday nights, you can see One Ton Pig, which is a local band. Our friend Andy is in. Hi, Andy.
Andy.
And it's a great time. It will be completely packed. The dance floor will be packed. It is definitely an action-packed night to go out on the town.
I'm a sucker for the rain. I'm a sucker for...
So that's the way Jackson is. There's something going on pretty much every night of the week. And if you ask around, especially if you know any locals, get a little community guide and just figure out where the party is that night. You're going to find some live music, and you're going to find just people out there enjoying life. Talk a little bit about where to stay in Jackson. Of course, if you don't have an RV, there are a lot of hotels. They're not cheap, but outside the town, there's a big campground called Grovon.
So I'm here Grovon Campground, just really a few hundred yards maybe from our Airstream. And I've been watching a mama moose and her 2 young calves drink from the Grovon River. I can take pictures, I can do video. It really doesn't do it justice.
We've spent a lot of time there over the years. Every visit has been a little different, and we've always had a good time. We've always enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, Grovon is probably our favorite campground just because of its location to the Tetons and to the town of Jackson. We sort of feel like it's a nice happy medium. Like you're out in nature and you're close within the park, but then you're close to town too. So if you want to go in at night for drinks or whatever.
And there's this sort of scrub brush around here that makes for an interesting terrain. The views in certain sites are really great because you can see the Grand Tetons, and then there's wildlife. See what I'm talking about? There are bison and elk and supposedly bear. I've never seen bear in this campground, and I guess maybe that's a plus too.
That area of our country still feels somehow unspoiled. There aren't too many places in North America left where you can say that. Bear in mind, Grovon, there are no reservations and it's purely dry camping. There are a few electric sites.
They do have bathhouses with toilets and sinks, but no showers. There's some places in town where you can take showers. The community center will let you come in and take a shower for I think like $5 or $6. Or you can go up into the park and shower there. Like Coulter Bay has bathhouses. And Coulter Bay also has full hookup camping available. Not all of their camping is full hookup, and I will say we have never gotten into
Yeah,
full
you better
hookup
make
camping.
your reservation now. If you're going to go at any time before the year 2030, pick up your phone right now and call and make your reservation because it stays booked up.
Yeah, because they take reservations for the full hookup, and so people plan way far in advance.
There's some RV camping in the town of Jackson. There's a place there, as of the making of this video, called the Virginian that has some RV camping.
That's full hookup?
It's full hookup.
Yes.
So you're going to pay a premium for that location, but you got full hookups and you got Jackson, so there's a lot to be said for that. And if you want to boondock, there's the Bridger Teton National Forest just outside of town. NPS calls it dispersed camping areas, which basically means places where you can camp where there's no campground.
Yeah, and there's also some state forest campgrounds that are further back in the sort of Grovon wilderness that you can camp at as well that have some really great lake views. So if you don't mind being a little bit more removed from the Grand Teton National Park, those are options for you.
I was awakened this morning by a bit of a commotion. I could hear something going on behind our Airstream, and it turns out that the mother moose and her 2 young calves that frequent this campground were having their breakfast right behind our bedroom, right on this hillside here. So I stepped outside, and there were a number of photographers out here photographing the moose. And we watched the moose for a while. Eventually, they strolled off across the field into the snowy mist.
Wintertime is out if you're an RV camper because it gets so cold there. So we've only really been there in spring, summer, and autumn. We love autumn personally.
Late August through the month of September, to me, is the best time to be there. We've been there as late as mid-October, and it's still beautiful then, but you are going to get snow in our experience. We've gotten snow every time we've been there in early October.
I don't mind telling a few thousand of my closest friends all of our secrets. Just leave a spot for us. That's all we ask.
And if you go to Vermont, tell them Sean and Christy sent you. They're our
say-
friends there at the check-in desk.
They're just great people working there.
I think that area is just so special because it sort of has like this perfect mix of nature, wildlife, amazing views, great weather, a great town that has the amenities you need, and then of course there's amazing dining in town too.
So to conclude, this place is absolutely awful. It's terrible. You shouldn't go. Don't even think about going, and don't tell anyone else about it. Okay? So that's it, guys. At least 20 tips about Grand Teton National Park. We hope this video has been helpful to you and will help you get the most out of your visit to that area. We want you to get the most out of your trip when you go so that you have the same kind of special experiences that we've been fortunate enough to enjoy over the years. We are Sean and Christy. This is Long Long Honeymoon. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button because subscriptions will ensure that you never miss a video.
And if you want to make sure you get an alert every time a new video goes up, click the bell next to the subscribe button, and that way you will get either a notification on your phone or an email letting you know that a new video is live. Also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. If you really loved it, share it with your friends and family. It means all the world to us. And until next time,
LOLOHO.
If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. Feel free to leave a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.
There's also some camping outside of the park between Grand Teton and Yellowstone. I believe it's called Triple X Ranch. And
Triple X, huh?
I think so.
I think that was in Las Vegas. Sorry.
I think it is called the Triple X Ranch.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
So
Okay,
just get
maybe
on the
I'm wrong.
internet, Google Triple X, and I'm sure you'll find that ranch.
Okay, well, just cut it out then, because now I'm not sure that that's the name.
Yeah. Huge mountains on that Triple X ranch. All right.